Hello, everybody. Welcome. Oh, wait, wrong. There we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Happy Pride Ray Train to all of you. We're doing a special GSG talk, 3 guest talk this time. We usually have 2 guests, but today we wanted to do something even more special for starting our LGBTQA Ray Train called Rainbow Roll. So I'm here with 3 of our LGBTQA members of our community, which are Scruffy Fox, your opponent, and Eliza Vibes. How are you guys?
You're good.
Doing good.
Nice. Before we start the interview, I just want to say that I'm with the flu once again. So if my English is worse than usual, I'm very sorry, but my body is fighting viruses while we speak. So let's get down to it.
He lives dirty. That's what it is. He just lives dirty.
You know it. Yeah. We have a saying in my country that is, skulls do not sing. Meaning that if you have done something that has gotten
that's
you
like
sick,
just some dark shit. You just like took it to that like death place.
Wow.
You just took it there.
well,
Very metal.
not me.
I like metal.
That's a common saying, but it sounds better in Spanish. Calavera no chilla. What you
Yeah, that sounds really pretty.
Yeah. So let's start with Eliza, because we've had Scruffy and your opponent in the previous shows, but we haven't had Eliza. So let's talk to Eliza a little bit, get to know her. Let's start with your name, which is usually the first place we go on these talks. Where does your name come from, Eliza?
So, I'm Eliza with an H. Like Sarah, the H is silent. So it's not actually my like given name, but it's from my middle name, Elizabeth. My full name, Carolyn Elizabeth Hyde, is my name. But I didn't want to use my first name, Carolyn, as a stage name because it just didn't sound right to me personally. Other people like really like how my name sounds, and I like how it looks on paper and in fonts and stuff, but I really wanted something that actually really embodied the music that I did make and that I wanted to make. And when I was looking around, I'm like, you know what? Why don't you use your middle name? I'm like, yeah, why don't you use your middle name? So I'm like, okay. And I wanted to do it with a Y instead of an I, like in Elizabeth, because I wanted to honor my first name because I actually like it, and my last name because I actually like it. So I did that, and I put the H on the end because there's already like just a mononymic moniker of Eliza, like Elyza. So I added the H to honor my last name and the H at the end of Elizabeth. So that's where my name comes from.
Okay, but your Twitch name does not have an H between the L and the Y, right?
Yeah, there's an H. Elyzah Vybes.
Well, let's see, because I copied this from...
Yeah, it says it right on the screen.
It's on the screen.
Oh, no. Okay, let me change that real quick. And how did you...
No, her name...
Sir?
Isn't her name spelled right? Your name's spelled right on the screen, correct?
Yeah, it's spelled. Yeah, it's spelled. Yeah,
it's spelled right.
The username is spelled right. So yeah, Vibes. I've always liked the word, and I've heard other people use it when describing music, and I was like, well, I'm mostly a musician, but like eventually I might do other things other than music on the stream, and I thought that was a good all-encompassing thing to attach to the username instead of just my name. I talked about, before we went live, I was talking about how I ended up on Twitch, and I found Hannah because I was listening to her music because she worked with another artist, Grimes, that I also really like, another Canadian. So that's how I stumbled into that, and I found out that she streams on Twitch, and she goes by Hannah Wins, and I was like, oh, cool, but she's also a gamer, so that worked for her stream, so I was inspired by that, and like, well, I don't want to use Eliza wins because that's boring and she already did it. So like, what can I do that's original and not boring? And I was like, well, I like to vibe. Hey, that you should do that, Eliza Vibes. And I was originally Eliza Music Vibes when I joined, but I dropped the music because I was like, people know I do music. Eliza Vibes just like has a better ring to it. It's shorter, less to remember. So I thought of marketing too.
Yeah, people that know about branding say that you have to choose a name that is not common so that people can remember it. That's strange. Oh, I remember that. That was strange the first time I heard about it. And how did you get to meet the GSG, the Golden Shrimp Guild?
I was discovered by Neon Void, actually. He found me, I think, after a stream one night. He either raided me or he just showed up in my chat. And he's like, yo, you like are really underrated. I think the GSG Guild would really like you. I think you should like consider joining them and talking to them and seeing if you could like do a shrimp Sunday. And I was like, okay. I wasn't really sure about it, but I realized he wasn't being pushy, and it was the text. And I realized, oh, he's from Europe and English is a second language. And there was a lot of things I didn't understand. And then when I actually like joined the server, I was like, oh, that's what this is. Oh, that's what that's what this is. Okay, here we go.
It's not something you run across all the time. You know what I mean?
No.
It could be this weird doorway into this different world.
But it was a world that I needed to see. It was a world that I needed to be in. So I was like, oh my God, this is where I needed to be. Where has this been my whole life? What the fuck?
Okay, I have a question for the three of you. Let's go Scruffy first, Yobo second, and I'm upside down, and Eliza third. Do you guys remember your first stream? Do you recollect that? How was that? What mistakes did you make that you said, oh, this wasn't the way that this was supposed to go? And what things were you surprised about streaming, if you can recollect that?
That's a hard question because I've started streaming like 3 different times. I've transitioned from different kinds of streams. So the very, very first time I tried streaming was in 2016, I think. My computer just couldn't handle it, so it didn't last. And then I got back into streaming back into 2020. Let's see, it would have been end of 2020. I can't remember my very first stream, but I'm sure I had a whole bunch of issues. The classic ones like microphone not turned on, or it's too quiet, or the category's wrong, or the title's wrong, or whatever. I mean, we all go through those blunders. So probably a mixture of all of those. But my original streams back in 2020 were mostly like casual gaming and chatting and stuff. But it didn't really last that long because I just couldn't really get on with it. So I stopped after about 6 months, and then a couple months later I started back up doing music. But I made sure when I started back up with music that it was working. I did a lot of tests before I actually went live on Twitch to make sure that it was all good.
Okay. How about you, Yopo? Do you remember your first stream?
The exact first one, maybe, but the one that I'm thinking of, which was super early on, was I had this idea because I did music for a bit, and then it's a video game platform. So I was like, okay, what should I do? So one of the games I love to play is Hearthstone. I still play it. And so I was like, you know what I'll do? I'll play Hearthstone and make music at the same time, trying to do both worlds. And what it just ended up happening is I did both really poorly at the same time.
I was going to say, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, it was kind of shitty. I mean, I had a good time. And in the end, that's what I always aim for, is just to have a good time myself. But yeah, that was kind of, didn't do either one especially well. But again, when you're streaming to like 2 people, 3 people, no people, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, that's true. You have to test things to prove you're wrong. Also, How about you, Eliza? Do you remember your first stream?
Yes, actually, I do. My very first stream on Twitch, or just very first stream like ever?
Whichever.
Okay, I can quickly do both. My very, 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 very first ever stream was actually a Halloween scary soundscape that I did on Facebook Live. That was the first thing I ever did, and that was like basically a test stream, a proof of concept. And then later on, when the pandemic hit in like May 3rd, 2020, was my first ever Twitch stream, and I streamed from my phone. I didn't have this nice setup that I had before. I had like my old desktop MacBook, and it could not stream. I had tried and I could not stream with it, but I was able to stream from my iPhone at the time, and I just had a really, really nice Bose speaker pointed at the phone. And that's how I did like an all ambient half-hour improv. I picked all the sounds beforehand and just did a half hour, told my friends when I was going to be live and sent them the link. And that was it.
Did it
That was
work?
all I did.
Did that work? Did people connect to his?
Yeah, people were actually able to watch. I didn't have a mic really or anything. But it actually worked okay. I don't think I actually had like too many problems, but I only had like a couple people watching that weren't even like logged in. Like it wasn't even that kind of stream. Like I wasn't an affiliate. It was like my first ever one, but it actually went okay. I don't even think I have the recording anymore, but I just made like a really nice all improvised ambient swooshy thing with my theremin, this thing right here, and with a keyboard that I had back then. Yeah. It was a really weird setup and a completely different camera angle. It was like really, really cumbersome. I'm really, really glad that I have the setup I do now.
Nice. We covered this on Scruffy and Yopo's interview, but can you tell us how did you wire your how do you have your gear wired for your streams? Like what gear do you use? I know you have a push in there. Yep.
Yeah. I also use what is this? A Focusrite 2i2. A vocal interface. That's all I use. And this I don't usually use this mic for streaming. I'll get the other one. Oh, this is the one that I mostly use for streaming. The Shure Beta 58A because it cuts through everything. It's awesome. And this one, I'm sure you've all recognized this one, the Shure SM7B or whatever. Yeah, that's mostly my setup, and I mostly put it through Ableton when I go live on stream. But I didn't have to do that today. I just did a multi-output device, and so I'm just talking to you on a camera. I don't have anything else open right now.
Nice. And yes, Beta Units pinned that little comment. Thank you, Beta. We are starting the Rainbow Roll Pride Ray Train today, and the three of you are members of the LGBTQA community, so let's discuss a little bit about that. I know that the Golden Stream Guild and your streams are considered safe spaces. How was your experience with this topic in your Twitch activity before you got to meet the GSG, or what do you feel that Twitch is is Twitch a safe space? Is it not? What's your experience with that?
Well, that's a very good question. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, let's do Scruffy, Yopo, Eliza. No, wait. Scruffy,
Yeah, it's a good question.
IMC.
I would say yes and no. It's definitely a lot better than it used to be. I remember, and if other people probably also remember, a couple of years ago, there was a big issue with hate raids.
Hate raids?
And that actually... Hate raids, yeah. So the idea was people would target a particular streamer based on a tag or something, and then just send bots and people to spam horrible messages, and it's not great. That was quite a big problem. I know a couple of people who were personally affected by those kinds of raids. One person I know actually developed a kill switch to sort their chat out before Twitch actually made one, in which time the problem had like basically stopped. And that was a big factor of why I kind of stopped streaming, because I don't want that. When I started back up, I had raids turned off, I had follower only mode and all that stuff for a long time before I, disabled it because of the Golden Shrimp Guild. And the start with the category of music, I feel like it's quite a bit different than other areas of Twitch, where I haven't seen or experienced much of that at all. Maybe due to the nature of like art and music and all that stuff. I'm not too sure. But yeah, it's a lot better now, but it was pretty bad back then. I personally haven't ever experienced any of that. I do consider my stream a safe space, and a lot of the people that I associate with are also very big allies or queer themselves. So that definitely helps. Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Yopo? What's your experience?
My experience so far has been it's been positive. I've never had any hate raids or anything like that, you know. Got flags, right, like flying, and always had the LGBT tag on it, and I know it exists out there. I haven't experienced it. And again, you know, things can always be better, you know, but sometimes I think just thinking back to earlier platforms like decades ago, and kind of thinking it from that perspective, it's something. It's better than it was, so I'm happy that it's here. And there are improvements that need to be made, you know, but it's hard. I try to also give sympathy to Twitch a little bit, but you know, there's some engineering feats that they have to try to fix. But myself, it's been real cool. The community's been real positive in finding the shrimps, and then you know, there's a lot of different kinds of people all over the place, and it's awesome. I have had a positive experience.
Nice. How about you, Eliza?
Yeah, I have to mostly agree with Yopo. I've had pretty much a very positive experience. I've actually known more, like Scruffy Fox has a couple of people that did go through really terrible experiences to the point where they actually had to leave Twitch and they didn't come back. Which is very sad, because they actually discovered me the first time, and that was how I even found out about an LGBTQA plus community on Twitch. And when I was like, oh, I can actually tell people that I'm a queer female. Oh, I can actually tell people that it's all mixed up in my head, but I like this body and that's okay. Great. You know, I was like, oh, great. I can just be like into whoever, and I can talk about it, and I'm not going to get into any trouble. Oh, good. You know, that's been mostly my experience is, oh, I can talk about that. Oh, I can do that, and no one's going to get mad at me. Oh, good. Thank you. Thank God. You know what I mean? If you believe in God, you don't have to.
It almost goes hand in hand, though, doesn't it? Like expression and music and expression on itself on a platform. It goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
It's not surprising that a lot of queer folk stream on Twitch also do music.
It's kind of like a juxtaposition though, because at times you have like very hyper bro mentality of gaming, and then you have like this art community and other stuff. Somewhere in between there, I think, is DJs. You know,
I think so.
But yeah, there's definitely like it's a platform that can, you know, kind of show the differences at times, because gaming, you know, people talk shit. Some of the most meanest stuff is said over like voice chats on video games and stuff. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I wanted to get into that because Scruffy said that his thoughts were that the music community had their own rules. Twitch is mainly a gaming community, but how do you read that gaming community besides what you have just said? What are those behaviors that you see in the gaming community that can be kind of harmful or not very empathic?
Are you talking to me or just in general?
Whoever wants to pick the question.
You go.
No, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, you can go to YouTube and watch any kind of highlight stream, whether that's like, you know, Dr. Disrespect, any of the big gamers. And there's always those comments, you know, those just like kind of, I don't even want to try to like think about it too hard to justify it, but you know, just some ill stuff. I'm not saying it's everywhere, but sometimes the stuff that gets, you know, promoted also contains that stuff. So I'm not saying it's everywhere all the time, but it's definitely out there. Just like hate speech, you know, like I just don't want to say it, you know. I could, but no.
Number of recommended channels that I get on my front page, and it's just like I know exactly what their community's like. I don't want anything to do about it, and I cannot get them away. And it's always in that recommended channels. For God's sake, like this is exactly what's wrong with the platform and these people who think that they don't have a responsibility to maintain decorum in their own communities. I'm fortunate that I'm a mod for a very large, not very very large like XQC level, but like a relatively large, like multi-thousand viewer streamer, and they do incredible work to make sure that their community doesn't turn toxic, which it does. It just inevitably does, because people, they hide behind their usernames, they're anonymous on the internet, you know. It doesn't matter if I type whatever in chat, but fortunately we've got a good team of mods that keep the place clean and say like this kind of thing is not acceptable. But you still get the people, even people that are like 24-month subs, hitting out with horrendous stuff, and you're like, where do you think you are? Like, what? It doesn't make any sense.
It involves... Sorry.
Everywhere, right?
Sorry?
Oh, I was saying there's always assholes everywhere, right? It doesn't matter. Like, even when I played World of Warcraft back in the day, there was always dicks, right?
Yeah. Yeah, also...
It's the internet.
Yeah, there's no consequences to whatever you say on the internet. Even if you get banned, you can do, as Scruffy said, you can get another account. So, and also there's a lot of confused teenagers and pre-teenagers going around. So there's that. Do you think that toxicity also pays? You know, like toxicity can create like hype, even hate hypes. But I've seen a lot of streamers encourage that behavior in order to get people hyped up in the wrong way. But have you seen this? I've seen it on YouTube.
No,
I have not seen this. A lot of this stuff is actually new for me. That's why I haven't been saying much, because I'm learning a lot. I'm like, whoa, what is this? Like, I've only been on Twitch for like the better part of like 2.5 years, so I'm still learning about like all the depths of it. And I'm not a gamer, so a lot of the stuff in the gaming stuff I'm not going to know very much about, because I don't really watch gaming streams. But it's really interesting and actually kind of like scary to hear that actually happens. And I think that, yeah, I must agree, like Twitch really needs to like fix that.
But that can happen if you go out to like a show or a concert, you know what I mean? There could be somebody yelling homophobic slurs, you know, anti-Semitic, anti anything that, you know, it is a problem also on Twitch, but I mean, it's a problem everywhere. And there's like deeper fundamentals that need to be addressed. Like why are you like saying that to get attention if you're on like other streams and game streams? And a lot of the game streams, like, because I was on Twitch for gaming like back in like, I don't know, like 2011, I was watching like Kriparian play like Diablo 3 and stuff. And so even then, like, I mean, people, when it would get to a certain level, those people would squash it, because I think Twitch has a lot of trans employees and a lot of stuff that I just think the culture was kind of there. I mean, people would act up and say some stupid shit. And then, you know, that's when you had moderators. Mods would come by with a heavy hammer instead of like, you know, there was different like ban levels, kick levels, permaban and stuff. So they've done some stuff, and it, you know, there's always more they can do.
Okay. Let's talk about Rainbow Roll. This is your baby, Yopo, right? You're the organizer of Rainbow Roll.
It's myself and Robin. It's myself and Robin.
Can you give the folks a little information about it? We're starting the raid train, but can you give
This is true. Yeah, we start the raid train, and actually, to answer earlier questions, we raid bonus creatures. And so what this event is like when I talked with Robin about it a long time ago. This is the third one. This will be the third one that we've done. Was to do something that was Juneteenth, Pride. You know, there's a lot of like awesome celebrations that happen in June for the shrimp to have an event themselves. And so something that wasn't going to be a synthon or stuff like that, and just invite people and start with like, you know, because there was a lot of like, you know, queer members of the community and stuff. So the way it goes is we always invite people. There's a invite that goes out to those people first, and then we throw it into the shrimp channel, and then it rolls out to everybody. Just, you know, that's the way it do. But yeah, so it's just something that always has been positive. A lot of people do fundraisers and donations to a nonprofit that they pick. So you'll see like donation links and stuff like that. There's not an overall arching one, and if anybody needs a suggestion, you can go to the Rainbow Roll LGBTQ channel in Discord. But yeah, and it's just a positive kind of one day, but one day in GSG land spans so many countries that it ends up being like 36 hours or something like that. So yeah. And so I'm looking forward to the weekend. It's going to be fun. Whoop, whoop.
How do the donation for foundations work on Twitch? Do you know?
I know because they just rolled out something new for donations, and I'm not 100% familiar with it. But in the past, what people do is you'll have like a link, you know, or you can add, you can have like a bot command, like have your bot run like a Streamlabs, Stream Elements, like command for where to donate with a link. People put it on their about page of their Twitch profile, you know, Instagram posts, just the social medias, you know, the internet.
Okay. And also you have, let's start the plug section of the interview. Yopo, you have an album to plug that you have been working for 2 years. Is that so?
Yeah, dude. So Stereo Beach's second album came out today. It actually came out yesterday at like 9 p.m. because it's 12 a.m. Eastern time there. But it's in like all the streaming services and stuff. And yeah, we worked on it for about 1.5 years. We play Rainbow Roll tomorrow. We're gonna try to get through as many songs as we can, but we like to jam a bit so things get extended. But yeah, really proud of it. Yeah, a year and a half. It's about 10 tracks, 47 minutes. and we hope you guys all enjoy it. It's kind of, we think it's like a summer album. I don't want to say that or taint anybody, but really proud of it.
How would you define summer music? What elements the summer music has?
Well, I mean, it's probably no secret that, you know, I'm in California and I like oceans and waves and sounds and stuff like that, as it's like in every stream. So summer for me is very much like at the beach. Like I grew up going to the beach in Southern California, you know, barbecues with my family, bonfires, just that kind of stuff. So when we were, and inadvertently, it just kind of happened that this sound came together. But, you know, as soon as you start playing like a Telecaster with like reverb, you're like on that borderline of surf rock and country. So we kind of just embrace that. And I know, I see you, Texas. I see you, Eliza. I know what's up. And so just kind of embrace that. In this particular album, we leaned a little bit more into drums and guitars versus the first album, which was really sparse. And so, yeah, it's just kind of like hanging out at the beach with your really close friends with no worries. That's what we were trying to go for.
Well, when we say we, who are you referring to?
Oh, yeah. So Stereo Beach is two people. It's myself and then my buddy, bromance, Justin. I'm gay. He's straight, just for the crowds. So when you see us, because people are like, is he gay too? Because you're gay. Is he gay? You have to be gay. So, but no, he's straight. He has a girlfriend. But he lives like 3 blocks from me. And we met at like a local bar, started talking. I got him into Ableton and he's been training up in Ableton. But he's been in like a whole bunch of like thrash metal bands, punk bands, and has had some great success in the Bay Area and stuff. So it's real cool being able to work with him.
Nice. Let's pin that link real quick so people can
drop it. Yeah, so it's I think the website. Yeah, so you can go to the website and at the top is all the links. There's other links to the older album videos that I've already posted on YouTube. I've been hashtagged by my mixtape, but it's streaming, so if you have the streaming service, it doesn't cost you anything.
Okay.
Thank you.
You are most welcomed. And since we are in the theme of plugging, Liza, you're dropping a video today.
Yes, I am. At I think it's at 2 p.m. Eastern. So when 1 p.m. Local time here in San Antonio. So a little while ago, at the beginning of June, I released my album Visions, and I had a really cool album release party, which I filmed, and then I also filmed some supplementary material, and I made a half-hour music video for the entire album because the album is that short. So I was like, well, I'm sure I can get enough footage together to string into a beautiful breaking the fourth wall, you know, kind of reminiscent of 80s music videos that are like, it's reality, but it's not reality, but it is, but it isn't, but it is, but it isn't. It's sort of like that, where like, it's just, you're in my head and this is the cool remember all of a really great night and a really great venue that is a wonderful second home for me in playing live shows. Okay. So yeah, it'll be available to watch as a premiere on my YouTube channel, my official YouTube channel. I have the music note. It means it's official. I worked hard on it.
Okay, let's drop that link.
Yes.
Real quick. The one you sent me, right? By DM?
Yep, that's it. That's the one. I see it in the chat. Yes, that's the one.
And we don't want to leave Scruffy behind. He has a radio of his own, so let's plug yours, Scruffy.
Radio.
Yeah, my radio, scruffyfox.fm. It's not a real radio. It doesn't go over the airwaves, but it's an internet radio.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically what I do. Is my project, my little baby.
Not even real radios go through the airwaves anymore. So.
No.
Can you explain us what that radio is about?
Yeah, so that's the reason why I started streaming music. So I had to have a project to justify streaming. And the project was, or the project idea was an endless radio of synth-style music that kind of sounds like one long, endless track that you could tune in at any time and listen at any point and not need to think about like what has come before and what's coming up next, like a traditional song, you know, when it's all arranged in like an intro, a bridge, a chorus, a verse, and all of that stuff. So it's literally just music at your fingertips. And I started recording it, and I didn't actually have the radio or the website until about 4 or 5 months into the project. But once I found the software, bought the domain, managed to set up all the logistics, I got it working, and I've been recording music for it ever since. So that's literally what I do and what I stream. Although I'm taking a very short hiatus, whatever it's called, hiatus. I don't know. At the moment, from doing that, because I've got way too much stuff that I need to do. So in the meantime, I'm going to be doing a little bit more low tempo style music that I don't have to edit and add into the radio. So that's, but it still runs 24/7. You can tune in anytime.
Nice.
But my next set will be tomorrow for the Rainbow Roll, and that will go into the radio. But that will be my last radio set for a little while.
Okay. When you promote it on your channel, one of the warnings says that Twitch compresses the audio too much, and you can get high quality audio on your radio. How does that work? What does Twitch do to the audio?
Well, Twitch has got their own compression, right? So when you go through Twitch, it compresses, and the audio isn't too great, especially if you're on a low connection and say you're watching the stream at 720p or 360p or whatever. The audio gets compressed with it, even though it's like almost no extra bandwidth. So if you listen to it via my website, it's always 320 kilobits, so it's the highest quality, and I go direct from my computer rather than from my computer to Twitch to then the radio.
I thought that
it's a little bit better quality, but you probably won't notice it.
I thought that that compression, the 720, only applied to video, but it applies also to audio.
Yeah, to audio. Yeah. If you go onto someone's stream and put it down to like 160p, it's just terrible. It's terrible. But also, you don't get audio only option like you do on mobile. So you can go to like a music stream on mobile, and you can set audio only. Turn off the screen, put it in your pocket, and just listen to the stream. You can't do that on the desktop. There's no option to be audio only, which is ridiculous because I constantly like to have music streams in the background whilst I'm doing stuff. And some browsers, like Chrome, which I don't use anymore because of this issue, they lower the priority of that tab, which means that the stream doesn't really run as well. And so when you go back into it, you end up with weird warping because the video player is trying to catch up with the audio. I don't know if you've ever noticed it when you listen to someone, it sounds a bit wobbly, right? It's because of that. If you refresh the page, it goes away. If you tab out and then go back in, you get that warp because it's trying to be clever with the low latency mode and like catch up with the audio.
What kind of Explorer would you recommend if Chrome's not the way to go?
Firefox. I used to be a big Firefox user years and years and years ago, but then they took the wrong turn like Chrome is, and just too much memory usage and a load of features that I just didn't want to use and stuff like that. So I switched over to Chrome because it was the lightweight browser, and now Chrome's gone the same way, so I've gone back to Firefox.
How do you make?
You can do Opera. I hear good things about Opera.
Okay, yeah, because
really, what's Opera?
It's a different browser, so it's been around a long time. But when Chrome started getting tab bloat before they fixed some of their threading issues, like Opera started to have this rise where Opera has really optimized tabs, so you don't get all the bullshit that Scuffy's talking about when you have a tab in the background. Check out Opera. Check out Opera.
Yeah, that's an oldie.
Try out Opera.
How do you feel about Brave? It's supposed to be like Firefox but better. Anyone?
I use, actually, to be fair, I use them all, like, because like doing like also like web dev and shit, like you got to end up using them all. So I have like all of them.
Okay. I'm checking the chat. So someone told me I should check the chat more often in this talk, so let's keep up with that. Hello, Wombra. How are you doing? Hello, Warren Turtle. Thanks to Spark Noise for that raid earlier. You rock, Spark Noise. Also, want to remember we got another raid.
We got another raid.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome, Raiders.
Evans the bar.
Welcome, Raiders. We don't have a raid song, but
we can make one right now. We're all musicians. Oh, you Raiders.
I don't know about that.
I once saw there's a viral video going around in the Spanish community because it's in Spanish. They are making this interview to this very high-profile soccer player. You know, soccer players don't talk too much, but this one can speak very fluently, and it's on Twitch. And he's speaking about something kind of tragic, like his past. He didn't have a very nice life, and then a raid comes. And the interviewer goes, wait, hello Raiders, hello Raiders. And the guy was speaking about how he lost his mother or something like that. It was horrible. So yeah, raid songs, not for everyone. But thank you, Evan the Bard, for that raid. Oh, and I wanna, and thank you, moderator, for that moderation. I wanna remind everyone in the chat that if they have some questions for our guests today, please drop them on the chat, and if anyone that is modding today want to pin them, if I miss them, that's also appreciated. Oh wait,
Pin it.
I pinned the wrong comment. I wanted to ping Scruffy Foxes.
Christ, he's gone through enough.
Jesus Christ, that's yeah. sorry. No, that I wanted to ping Scruffy.
That's funny.
Okay, there we go. Eliza, I've noticed that in your stream. Oh, what's that? Brave? What does it say?
Be brave, be bold.
Yeah, be a puma. Eliza, I've noticed that in your stream you have the mental health tag. Can you speak about it? Do you have a condition? What's that all about?
So yes, I can talk about it. So there's a couple things going on there. I use it instead of putting Tourette's because it's not just about Tourette's syndrome, which I have, which is motor tics that fire at random, for those who don't know, in varying degrees. I'm usually like a 1 to a 3. There's another lady, Sweet Anita, here on Twitch who is like a 6 or a 7, and she's really something. So if you want to really find out more about like Tourette's, I would actually recommend Sweet Anita. She's also a British gal. She's really cool. She's very outspoken, but it makes sense when you watch her. Yeah, it's about that, but it's also about like trauma survivors. My mom did actually pass away after she retired. So it was really difficult for me to move on from that. So I create safe spaces for people who are recuperating from trauma, and for just anybody who needs a safe space for mental health, and also for the LGBTQA plus pride community. My channel is also a safe space for that, because there's also a lot of mental health issues in that community for very obvious reasons and very understandable as well, due to there being a lot of hate towards the community, which I actually have a hard time understanding the hate, because I just didn't grow up in that kind of environment. I grew up in a very accepting upbringing and very accepting family where, like, well, we may not be gay, but it's okay if you are, you know, like it was never considered like make a big deal or even having a big coming out party. It wasn't really about that. It was more of like, oh, this is your girlfriend and you also happen to be a chick. That's okay. You know, like it was never really like a big deal negatively in my family. More of just like, oh, so you have a girlfriend instead of a boyfriend, or you have a boyfriend instead of a girlfriend. Hey, no problem. Bring them over. Let's like have dinner. Like, let's make them feel nice and welcome. You know, like that's just like what it's like in the community that I'm from.
It's nice.
So I want to be able to create that kind of space that I was able to have for other people, because I know not a lot of other people get that experience. And I think that that's really not right. And so I'm like, well, what can I do to make it right? I can be that person, and I can like create a safe place and have rules that protect those people. So.
Nice.
And that's also a big part of my music, because music brought me back from trauma. It's always reminded me of who I am, especially the dance music now. It's really reminding me of myself and bringing back like the good childhood memories that I had. So like these days, that's like so important. So that's why you get a lot of the really like feel good, and even if it's down tempo, like you get really feel good, dancey, groovy music a lot of the time on my channel, even if it's straight up ambient, because that's just what's like really, I don't know, it's just, it helps people feel better. So I want to be able to create that space.
And confirm, I love your music. Your music's great.
Yeah, and when you were talking, I was thinking that maybe every musician comes from that place, because there's no money involved, there's no fame, there's your parents bully you. I don't know about the case of you, but most parents don't like their sons to be artists by trade, because it's something that doesn't provide an economic stability. But I think the reason behind it involves what you're saying, like we all get something maybe spiritual about it. I don't know. How about you, Scruffy? How about you, Yopo? What makes you do music, if you ever consider this question?
Go for it, Scruffy.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I probably consider it as mostly an expressive outlet. And plus, I just really fucking like music. I've always liked music, because ever since I was a young boy, a wee lad, I've just loved music. And I'm the only one in my family who is musical pretty much in any way. I started learning guitar really young, and I was always the kind of kid who would just like playing music as opposed to learning music. And that's kind of like the precursor to what I do now. I really don't like playing other people's music. I like making my own music, and I especially love doing improv because it's so raw. And I have a thing, and it sounds really wanky. It does, but I have a thing where I feel like my emotional state and how I'm feeling on a particular day when I'm doing improv is reflected through the music itself. And it's very subtle, and you probably won't notice it if you just listen to the music, but I can definitely feel it when I listen back to the music or listen back to the radio. I can feel a certain kind of energy in a particular set. And that really works well for my project in particular, because it's endless, and you can just go through all these different sort of journeys in the music, and just feel the progression and feel sort of the highs and lows and the peaks and the troughs through the music. Yeah. So it's pretty much that. I just really, really like making music, and I like being able to express myself and just make stuff that sounds cool and that I would personally like to listen to myself. I'm my own biggest fan. That's number one.
That's nice. I'm my number one biggest critic. That's sort of the same. How about you, Yopo? What makes you do music?
I'm going to quote Scruffy Fox and say, just because I fucking love music. That's what I'm going to say. No, it's true. No, I make music just because I love it. I love the design. I love the thinking. I love the planning. I love just how little changes can invoke different emotion. There's a total, for me, there's a total connection between my emotions when I'm listening to, spirituality and everything. It's just, it's some sort of metaphysical thing to me that I can control and invoke these emotions. And it baffles me, it astounds me, it frustrates me. I absolutely love it. I just fucking love it.
I second that, all of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's so captivating, and especially, not selling modular. I won't sell the modular or the deluge, but just with the shit in front of me, I can just get lost. I can just turn it on, and it's just for me. I just absolutely love it. I would rather be blind than deaf. I'm just saying.
All three of you improvise on stream. Is that right? How do you feel improvisation provides you? What kind of ground artistically does improvisation provide you? We can start by Scruffy and then go.
It's an interesting question. Well, firstly, I answered in my previous question that I don't really enjoy playing other people's music. I don't really get that much satisfaction. And plus, I can't sing, so that pretty much rules out all music. But with improv in particular, in the way that I make improv music, because I've got such a large library of pre-made patches and sounds available to me, I'm able to find a sound that fits what I'm currently building, and B, sort of what feels right. It's a really difficult thing to explain. But I'm by trade a very technical person. I'm a software engineer, so my job is very logical. Right, very thinking, logical, and with my music, it's the complete opposite. Right, it's very emotional. I don't need to think necessarily about like, oh, am I in the right key, or going from this note to that note and then to this note and the intervals and all that stuff. I just do what sounds and feels right, and the feeling is the key aspect of my particular improvs. I'll spend like 5-10 minutes finding the right sound, and it's not necessarily like I'm listening, or does this one work with what I've currently got, whatever. It's literally just a gut feeling. I'll browse through the sounds, and when something just you know when you know, right? You know when you know that's the right sound to use, or that's the right melody to go there, or whatever. So it's very much like I just switch off. I switch my brain off, and I just create, almost like a painter with paint, just slapping a canvas with colors until something comes out. That's how I feel like I'm making music.
Okay.
And the drug.
That's nice. That's a nice answer. How about you, Yopo? What makes improvisation? How does improvisation affects your music?
So to start off, I'm not a keyboardist. I grew up playing the organ and stuff like that, but I have like really kind of no keyboards. If you see a keyboard, it's probably a quantizer. So not to go too deep, but right now, how I'm doing a lot of improv is there's a lot of generative sequences, and how I use generative sequences, I kind of treat them as like unopinionated bandmates, just like they're doing their thing kind of, and I have controls. I have like meta controls about kind of the sequence style and stuff like that. And just on a personal note, I'm like a huge sequencer. I love sequencers. And again, that's why I love the deluge. But anyways, So there's a lot of like generative sequences that happen, and what that is, it's like, if you guys know any like the Conway's Game of Life, there's a couple algorithms out there for generative sequencers, and how it works is you set a key and it plays all the notes and however many octaves you set, and it slowly narrows down where it stops, and you can set how much it stops with, and it makes this melody. So there's usually about like 7 of those going at any given time. So and you can hit reset and change the key. So a lot of the improv lately that I have been practicing in is, okay, I want to switch songs like every 15 minutes instead of like jamming on one for like 30 or 40. Let's try to get some movement. Let's switch keys. Let's change shit. But to do that, you have to switch a lot of sequencers. You have to switch a lot of quantizers. So right now, that's what I'm practicing a lot. And all that is generative, on the fly. And also the deluge, when I'm playing the deluge, like all the drums are on the fly. Bass lines when I'm doing like house or like progressive and stuff like that. So there's a lot of on the fly and generative shit happening all through this motherfucker. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. How about you, Eliza? How does improvisation makes your art different?
I think it's a combination, honestly, of those two. Because since getting this device, I got it during the pandemic because they started giving like a guaranteed income for a bit. So I was able to save up for this. And it really changed the way that I improvise. Before, I didn't have like any looper thing, so I'd have to like just improvise an entire thing and then improvise the next track and improvise the next track. But when I got Ableton 9 originally in like 2015, 2016, I originally had a cracked version from a friend, and then I saved up to get like the actual version, 10, and then I got the upgrade to 11. But this thing really changed the way that I make music, because first I got introduced to the loops in Ableton, and that allowed me to accompany myself and be able to like make other creative decisions that I couldn't make before, to be able to accompany myself. So I could like play a solo while drums are going. And before, like the way I played piano, I didn't like, because I had to fill in like all this space, and I didn't like it. I wanted to be able to improvise where I could basically be a band, and this allows me to like do all of those things and be able to get that bird's eye view, and then be able to be a DJ while at it. And I discovered DJing like very, very recently, like only a year ago, and realized, oh my God, I'm cut out for it. Oh my God, that's like what the push kind of does. Oh my God, I could do like all of it. And so it really...
Synergy.
It changed everything. And that's how I'm making music now. It's like everything is based off of an improvisation. I'll basically like the music I'm basically listening to that day, whatever I'm like vibing to, will be very heavily influenced in what I write. So like if I'm really like vibing out to some progressive house, it'll be a bit more progressive and housey, but I would say all of my music is progressive no matter what genre, because that's just me, because everything is based off of improvisation. I learned it when I was very young. I saw my parents play mostly other people's music, but I really enjoy like listening to other people's music and then playing my own. And because I can't get in trouble on stream if I'm playing my own music, I'd eventually like to spin like in real life, like other people's music and work that into a set. But yeah, I'm mostly into like making my own stuff, and most of the albums that I put out are the original improvisation, just like chopped up into like an individual song. Like, oh, here's the end of the first song, and it's the beginning of the next song, and so you can listen to it all in one. So that's how I write albums now.
Oh, nice. Do you are those live improvisations or private improvisations?
No, they're mostly like pretty much all of them except for 5 a.m. were like written on Twitch.
Do you guys play when you're not live? Do you guys play for yourselves?
I do.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Because I also do like Stereo Beach practice, and I have a whole schedule around that stuff. But yeah, like I'll take like some of these boxes out, like this little box. You can't even see it, so I don't even know why the fuck I'm pointing. Anyways, I'll take like one of the cases out in the living room, and I'll set it up. I'll like, sample a kalimba, throw it in the Morphogene, and just have like a little ambient modular box going on in the living room and stuff. So yeah, definitely play shit all the time.
I try not to do too many private improvs, because if I'm doing an improv, then I might as well be streaming it, right?
But see, that's
always recorded, right?
But this is kind of the
always.
problem I have with my project. I want to take a short hiatus from it, and that means that I can't really do any improvs around the BPMs of the radio, because it's like, well, if I'm doing an improv at this BPM, then I may as well record it. And if I'm recording it, then I may as well stream it. And then all of a sudden, I've got a backlog of about 15 hours of audio that I need to edit. So I try not to, but whilst I'm setting up or changing my project or working on my project for the next set, I'll come up with some loops and I'll have a little jam, a little cheeky jam to myself, to my partner, private show.
Okay.
Or if like friends come over or your significant other,
Do you guys feel
sexy
that...
jams? It's time to do the sexy stream. I'm just kidding, kids. I'm just kidding.
No. Now you have to make a sexy jam. No.
Yes.
Maybe it's on the album. #, buy the album. No, it's free. You can stream it. No, maybe it's on the album. Maybe there's a sexy song on the album. Who knows? Maybe there's a sexy song in Eliza's stream or on Scoffy Fox's radio.
Oh, yeah.
I
just dropped sexy stuff. My first dubstep album is very, very sexy.
Super
Dubstep.
sexy.
Yeah, dubstep sexy.
And the album's called Sexy.
No, it's called Gemini, but that means sexy.
Sexy Gemini.
There you go.
The reason I ask this is because I've noticed that in my personal experience, when you jam to yourself, it's a different vibe, because you're not worried about the vision of someone else, and sometimes that creates different music. Does that happen to you when you jam to yourself or to your partner, especially to yourself? Do other things happen? Do other things appear, or is it the same for you?
The mean critic inside me appears, because I think we're all the most harsh critic. Like, oh god, that mix, oh my god, that hi-hat, fuck my left ear, like
Yes.
that's what appears for me.
But
why is that ride too loud? Why is that ride too loud?
But it's for yourself. Why should that matter?
Well, then why am I making shitty shit for myself? Come on, Yopo, step up the game.
I'm with him. I'm a bit of a critic when it's like by myself, because no one else is judging me. You're
judging you, Eliza. You're judging you.
Only me. It's me against
when you
me.
Point,
and that's
when you
it.
point your hand like this, there's 3 pointing back at you.
I try not to be too critical of myself and my music, although I like to be constructive in my criticism, and I try not to be too harsh on myself, like, oh, that's terrible, and why did I do that? Because usually I make sure it's good before I send it out to stream. Everything I do is in queue, so I spare the chat all of the missed notes or the bad tunings or whatever.
Do you figure out how to do that?
Do you guys appreciate other people's opinions on your stuff, or you prefer not to have those?
For sure.
Oh yeah. I love getting good constructive criticism, or people love it. I always want to be better. I can take the constructive criticism because nobody will be harsher than me. So anything anybody can say, I can take it, because I'll say like the stuff that I know I sometimes shouldn't even say. I'm like, hey, this is actually pretty good. Stop that. You know, I catch myself now, and I'm like, hey, stop saying that. You're a good musician. You just need to fix the thing, and you'll be fine. And Pat's head, you know.
Yeah, I love being roasted. It's the same with my job as well. I recently had my quarterly review, and my manager gave me some harsh but very valid feedback, and I worked on it and improved it. And then I got some more feedback saying, look, you took that feedback and you completely 180'd, and that's amazing. But I like it with my music as well, because, and I always say this, you don't know what you don't know. And it's up to other people to tell you what you don't know, right? And you can't get that unless you get criticism or constructive feedback from other people. And as long as it's constructive, obviously going into someone's stream and be like, I don't like this is shit, is not.
Yeah, that happened to you. Was that you that happened to you recently? Like somebody came in, was that your stream, Scruffy? Or was that somebody else's stream?
No, I don't think it was me.
Okay, there's somebody posted that somebody came to their stream and just told them that maybe it was Squirrel or Neon House, I don't know, it was something shitty, and that person was just spreading negativity.
That.
Yeah.
That was rude.
Just ban those kinds of people. Just ban. But yeah, someone who comes in and says maybe like, oh, that melody works really well with that bass, or that bass maybe just like a little bit more reverb. Great, fantastic.
I don't find most people come in and critique, though. Most people come in, you know what I mean? Most people are there for music. Everybody's super friendly. It's really hard to get, like, I'd say well-rounded opinions, like, you know, when you're streaming and stuff, because everybody just wants to be positive. Nobody wants to, you know, to be like, yo, hey, your microphone's really loud, or hey, your bass is this. You know, people just don't do that because they're like, hey, I'm here enjoying and stuff.
I enjoy being the bad guy and going into people's stream and saying if their mic's too quiet. That's a personal pet peeve of mine. When I go into someone's stream, I just can't hear them, and no one wants to say anything because I know that it's me. I want someone to say something. Tell me if you can't hear me.
When I first started streaming, I would say something to people, but I wasn't sure how I was going to be perceived. If you're like, you know, hey, maybe turn up your bass a little bit, because that's like, you know, people can get insulted about, you know, critiquing their mixes, you know, and even if you go into Discord, you know, it's kind of hard because it's a forum. And then even kind of harder is if you message that person one-on-one, because it takes it to a very serious level when you're like DMing somebody being like, yo, dude, you need to turn up the bass. You know, it's just awkward. So, you know, maybe someday it'll get easier. But, you know, it's just hard. It's hard.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta come to your friends and ask them to give you a really sincere opinion, because no one else will.
Strangers, man. Strangers will tell you the truth sooner than your friends will.
Yes, they will.
They have no investment in your feelings, right?
You guys have friends?
Imaginary ones. World of Warcraft buddies, right? Diablo avatars.
AI can be a friend.
Yeah. But, you know, but yeah, I think critiques help. I still think navigating that is just it's always going to be kind of socially awkward, you know, even though people say you want feedback, but oftentimes for myself, I'm like, yeah, give me your feedback. And when they're critical, I'm like, oh, you don't have good ears for music. So anyways, no, you know, like sometimes you discount people, you know, because you're like, well, you listen to fucking X, Y, Z. You don't even know this shit that I'm doing. I'm on that fringe shit, bro.
I just ignore those comments.
No, I mean, we try to, but, you know, then at night when I'm sitting there, like smoking some weed at like 1 a.m, I'm like, why did they say that? You know, is it too loud? Is it? Oh my God, it is. You know,
some people have commented, like, sometimes my stream will be juddy, but they don't know like what my gear is, and they haven't taken it upon themselves to actually look at my gear list. And like, so I now actually have a thing. Nobody here has said anything though. It's like some like random people that are like not a musician. They don't stream. They don't understand anything that's involved. Like it's people like that. So I have a little thing in my rules, in my chat rules, like, please do not complain about the quality of the stream. My setup is what it is. If you want it to be better, pay me.
That's
fair.
That's fair. Right? Yeah.
So I thought long and hard about it too, because I would only occasionally get this comment. It'd be like once a week or something on like some random stream, and I'm just like, whatever. It is what it is. This is the stream that I have. You know, like I stream with Twitch Studio. I don't yet use OBS. If I can get somebody to actually get me to do a walkthrough, possibly instead of OBS, that would be.
There's
cool.
an OBS channel. There's an OBS channel in the Golden Shrimp Discord.
Yeah.
Cool.
Dedicated to all OBS.
So I will explain my issue in much better detail there. That way I can actually get proper help. Because if I can actually use OBS instead of Twitch Studio, I do hear that OBS is a lot more stable
Yep.
than other even open source stuff, because I know it's not the only one, but I hear it's still the best despite the little connection problems that it has. So yeah, any help would be greatly appreciated with that, because I'd love to actually be able to use it.
Yeah, as Yopo said, there's a channel dedicated to OBS, and there are also a lot of tech geeks on GSG, on the GSG community, that will gladly, and sometimes very gladly, help you with that issue. Also,
Most of them won't even charge.
I may need like an actual like video call or something like this, or like a chat to like help like in real time. I may actually require that type of assistance, because just getting like a little blurb, oh, do this and this and this, I can get lost because I'm not from computer programming land. I'm not from tech land. I'm from like, I go up to a piano, like a grand piano, and play it. You know, like that was my upbringing, playing classical and jazz piano. Like,
I got organ. I got a Hammond organ that I grew up with my grandma.
Yum. My grandparents had one. The one with the foot.
As a kid, though, I hated it. I just wanted to play with my friends. I'm like, Grandma, I don't want to play your silly organ. I don't want to be a baseball like organ player. That's not my thing. It's not my goal.
something that we've never covered, but it's a topic that is discussed on the Discord of the GSG and in the musical community in general, is the role that AIs will have in the future. And we have two software engineers, I don't know if that's the term, but we have two knowledgeable people about that. What are your feelings about that? You know, the usual stance are AI will take everyone's job, you won't need to think anymore, which is obviously an extreme. But what do you guys think about it? What are your opinions about that? Let's start with Scruffy.
It's a really interesting topic, and it's huge. It's a massive topic, because you've got image AI, you've got text AI, you've got all these different models that you can use that do crazy stuff. I think the technology in and of itself is very exciting and very cool. The application of the software, not so much, but my dog there, he agrees that it's, there's some bad actors that can use AI for not
dog pound puppy dog.
But, yeah, for music itself. No, stop! I'm talking. Thank you. For music itself, I'm not really sure. I haven't seen any AI music stuff, so I don't really know. I guess it will probably be really cool if you could like analyze a whole bunch of historical music and generate some new stuff in that style. Yeah. But I don't think it will ever replace humans for creating art, ever. And I think that's the same with like when people say, "Oh, AI is going to take your job." It's never going to take. It might replace some certain tasks that people do, but it will never replace people, right?
Yeah, a lot of the stuff though that I see, it depends. So this is like a real deep conversation, right? Because I think it ties into number one, what do you consider learning? What is considered AI? If we just take that off the charts, that's maybe a deeper conversation. But what this seems to be happening right now is with this shit, they're doing a lot of modeling, right? So you got like Drake singing with the fucking Weeknd. You got all kinds of stuff happening. And these people are not singing these songs. What it is, it's an AI model trained on their vocals, trained on their shit. There's whole websites set up like, hey, you want your song to sound like Beyonce? Just give us your vocals that you want it, and they'll just model it and just do that. So I think that an issue that's going to come up very quickly is intellectual property, right? Because if you're having people all of a sudden being able to take people's quote unquote voices, what is your IP? Is it your album? Is it your persona? Is it your voice? And the whole Drake Weeknd thing it has really just shown like, hey bitches, we're coming for you. I don't know. It's pretty crazy, but it's scary. It's exciting. Just like anything like fire, right? You can do good with it. You can do bad with it. So we'll see what people do, right? We'll see what people do.
Yeah, I have a very similar opinion. I'm very excited about it, and I think it's more of a good thing than a bad thing. I think the issue with music, touching on what your opponent said, was like the issue of copyright and like what is your actual intellectual property? Where is that line now? But I think what it does forces that line to be established, and let's make a precedent, because there wasn't enough of one. What the AI does is show where we need to improve, where we couldn't see, judging by like, oh, here's a stone cold, critique from an unbiased thing. You can even look at it that way. I personally use a lot of visual AI. So like on my iPad, I make a lot of art. That's where I make a lot of my visual art and supplementary material for my music. To me, it's all like one big happy family there, and everything relates to everything else. And I'll put in prompts because I'm not a great like drawer of like realistic things. I'm a great abstract artist, much like my music, and just flapping the paint on there and it looks great. I love making that kind of art. But when I want to make something that actually embodies what my music is really about, I would really struggle to make visuals, and AI has actually really helped me to express myself visually as an artist, and something that I could actually take to like a real anime like animator, like that makes like Japanese anime, and be like, can you make these but like do it yourself? Like I'd love to be able to eventually pay someone, like bring these demos and be like, here, make these, and like you can do it better because you're an actual human and you've had better training than this thing has. So that's again like why I don't think AI will actually like particularly replace jobs like that. I think some like labor jobs will be replaced, but the jobs that really do require the human touch and proper decision making, those will never be replaced by AIs.
Yeah, I mean, there's been stuff that's been used, right? Like, I mean, even when you're doing like reference tracks and stuff like that, there's like data analysis and stuff like that, machine learning, if you will. If anybody does reference track when they do their mastering.
I use like songs that like I listen to. Like if I'm doing a house track, I'll put on like my favorite like progressive house tracks and go like, oh, where are things sitting?
This is something you can like, you feed in that house track, you feed in your track, it will do machine learning, make your track as closely sound to that without you having to fiddle knobs. It's in like in Isotopes Ozone, they have it. Like it's in a whole bunch of softwares, right?
Ooh, I'll have to try it because I have like a mastering like method that I have that sounds really good. I'd be interested to see how close it gets to like what I actually do for mastering my tracks.
Yeah, there's like mixed reviews about it, but having a reference track, especially if you're trying to go for a sound of like say a particular track or something like that. I mean, even as a learning thing, like, hey, do this, see what it's doing behind the scenes, because you can open up what it actually did to see it EQ'd it like this. Oh, maybe it did a little saturator. It's all, but Ozone's hell of expensive, right? I think the suite is like $800 or $900 for the.
Wow.
For the
okay.
But,
yeah, I was gonna say, is there a price? Yes, there is. Okay.
You can always do the trial, right? You can do the trial and check it out.
That's fair. That's good that they actually provide a trial. Yeah, I don't have that kind of money right now because I spent it all on being able to actually stream and do this. So yeah, that would have to wait. But I'm grateful for the knowledge that I have and actually being able to master my own work and not having to go to somewhere else. I really, really like take pride in being able to learn that for myself and not have to rely on someone else to do it.
Nice. Yeah, there's also something to be said about our musical culture, that everything kind of sounds the same. If a machine can do it just as good as a human, maybe we are not doing such a good job creatively.
Well, the stuff that machines are doing though is like people are specifically doing pop music, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, they'll do like some classic, like, you know, some Bach, some shit that's like, you know, out for the public domain, but they're doing like pop music. So, you know, when setting out to make pop music, it's going to sound the same, right?
It's pop music manufactured by like definition almost, isn't it? So it's like
yeah. And I'm not dissing pop music, dude. Like if anybody's ever tried to write a fucking hit, dude, it's hard as balls.
It's hard.
It's hard, dude. It's hard to make like a banger. So I'm not disrespecting their engineering work and shit.
Okay. We have 10 minutes left before we are raiding into Bonus Creature, our first actual...
Bonus Creature?
First actual artist that will be playing music. We should actually change the category of this because we are not doing music and this is in the musical category. But we are speaking about music, so I don't really know. I don't know how that works.
We could have music that like starts and ends it. I don't know if we want to like write. I don't know. Maybe like bring the musical aspect back to the talk show, because I know there's a lot of talk shows like throughout the decades that had like musical aspects of their shows, and that created balance. So if I could
like a
recommend
talk
something.
show with like a band interlude kind of shit. Is that what you're saying?
Or having just like recorded music that's been made for the show, or music that they want to feature, or just having that as a regular
A
part
theme song.
of the show, or a theme song. I'm just like brainstorming.
Put your suggestions
There's no
in the
answer.
chat. Put your suggestions in the Discord
we want
chat.
to know. Do you want to know? Do you want?
Yeah,
that
no,
kind of
we
stuff?
actually talk about this in admin chat about like, hey, what can we do, to spice this up? And Patroclo is like leading the charge. This is his baby, these talks and stuff like that. So I find him super awesome. Like, Eliza, I've been to your streams and stuff like that, but like just in this brief talk, like even beforehand, even in the backstage, in the green room when we were kicking it in the green room, the VIP room. No, just getting to know you like more. Same with you, Scruffy. Just that's what I love these things, because when you stream, like especially doing music, there's not that like connection, at times, because you're hustling on music. So these things I find super awesome. I like them.
Yeah,
But I'm a basic bitch, so I don't know.
No, you are not. Not to me. No,
I just
You're
make
Use the deluge. That's not basic.
I just make the biscuit.
no, dude, you are very interesting. You are the farthest thing from a basic bitch. I've met basic bitches. They suck. You do not.
Yeah, well, I'll take the compliment, but it's also very easy to do this when you have such an interesting guest and such a supporting community. Like, we've seen talk shows, yeah, silly you. We've seen talk shows on other chats and on other channels, and sometimes people are not that supportive. Guests are not willing to answer every question. They sometimes dismiss questions, and that doesn't happen here because we all. I think the Galaxy Electric coined the phrase "internet friends." I really like that. So that's nice. Okay, so we have 8 minutes. Let's do a replug for your things, please. We have Liza's. Please, Liza, explain what's your plugging, because I'm looking for the link while we're chatting.
So I'm dropping a long form music video for my album Visions, or known as Future Oasis 4, but I actually wanted to give this one a title. It's a dub techno and house, deep house, progressive house cross, you could say. And I made an entire short film or movie music video for it, filming my album release party up in San Marcos at Studio San Martian, a wonderful venue for anybody. It has a very hippie and outer space combo vibe, but you can be anyone. They're very welcoming, especially for the Pride community. They're an incredibly inclusive group. Rami Stein, who is the hostess with the mostest, runs the best place ever, and she allowed me to film in her space. And I got some supplementary material and wanted to tell it's reality, but it's not reality. Breaking a fourth wall, just a really cool visual album experience, and that'll be on at 2 p.m. Eastern on my official YouTube channel. Please drop in and say hi. I will be doing a live chat there also. You do not have to hang out, though. It's completely optional. I release a lot of music. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Yopo, let's plug yours. 1.5 year of work, right?
Yeah, so there's actually I'm gonna do it real quick. I'm gonna come in with the hot sauce, just coming in spicy. So the Stereo Beach album dropped today. We made us about 1.5 years worth of work. We're really proud of it. It's our second album. Actually, next month there is a podcast that's coming out. I did an interview on North Beach Podcast, which is Kizzle. If you've seen him in any of the Discords, it's KZZL. He does a whole bunch of YouTube stuff. And then what else is going on? Is that it? I think some more GSG stuff. Oh, that's right. Yes. So with any GSG event, Robin, I said Robin, thank you to Robin, because she's huge on this event. But other admins also help on every single event. Beta Units, Act Attack, Mr. Axe, Bleep Temple, all the other admins help with all the other events. So I also want to thank them too. It's a village, people. Oh yeah, Monday Modular. Yeah, and also Monday Modular is coming up, and I think this is Slaughter's plug. He's going to be doing a stream. I think Slaughter, Moonhouse, and Woke Ass Messiah are going to be in the same place for one of the Modular Mondays. So be sure to check that out. Yeah, and with the suggestions, if you have suggestions for the GSG Talk, there is a GSG Talk channel in the Discord. And Rainbow Road goes on till the 23rd. And I'm going to plug it. Abra Sumente, which is Pachoclo's event, is next Saturday. So keep an eye out for some flyers and shit.
Yes, sir. How are you, Scruffy? Plug. This is the plug section of the show.
I'd just like to echo what your opponent said. Yeah, big thanks to all the admins for organising everything, because I know and I can see how much effort goes into it. So yeah, much appreciated. But for my plug, it's just my streams, twitch.tv/ScruffyFox. That's where I'll be making all my music. Well, that is where I make all my music. And then my website, which streams 24/7 when I'm not on Twitch, so you can listen to my stuff anytime on scruffyfox.fm. An endless radio of melodic, down-tempo, synth-style music. So if that's your jam, check it out. You can listen to all of the stuff on demand on my SoundCloud. Same username. I use this username everywhere, so you can pretty much find it. Oh, yeah. That's where I upload all my music.
Nice.
I forgot to mention one thing, though, that I wanted to thank, which is everybody, everybody out there, all the people that are in the stream, all the people that are part of the Golden Shrimp Guild. At times we're all streamers, we're all musicians. So it's not like fan base and artists. It's artists for artists. It's an artist collective. So thank you to everybody else and all the people that come in, all the people that pick up shifts on events to keep the train running. Thank you to all you. Thank you.
Not to one up with your opponent, but I'd also like to thank God for making all of this happen. Without him, we wouldn't be here. I'm joking.
If you weren't joking,
I'm just going to respect.
I want to thank the music.
I'm respectful.
we can thank God.
Even if you believe in God, I want to thank the music because it's how I found myself and how I found everybody here. And I found more like-minded people on Twitch than anywhere else in the world, in real life or on the internet.
Okay, yeah. We can also thank
very much.
the goddess of music. She's a goddess as well. Okay, everybody, we're about to leave. We're about to start we have started the Rainbow Roll, but we're gonna start the music part of the Rainbow Roll. That's 24 hours, Yopo, of music, maybe more.
Yeah, so since it's like we try to treat it like just like the 420 Fest and Safety Fest, like the world clock is bigger than 24 hours. So if it starts like on the 23rd, it's like the 23rd wherever it's the 23rd first to wherever the 23rd first or the 23rd ends. So it ends up being like, I don't know, Robin's the number person, but I think it's like 30 plus hours. It's over a day.
Okay, so stick around for that. I want to thank my guests for today. This has come very nicely. I want to ask forgiveness for my mucus sound.
You're forgiven.
Viruses are flowing through my body. Thank you, everyone. Let's see you on Bonus Creatures stream real quick. Bye-bye.
Can we get the metal voice Rainbow Roll? Can we get that?
Rainbow Roll. Oh, I can't do it that well now. Rainbow Roll. Let's begin the Rainbow Roll. Oh, God. Bye, everyone. Bye.
You could be.